Bandits abduct newly married couple in Zamfara. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Binani's appeal on Adama Guba election. Naira free fall negatively impacts prices of drugs in Nigeria. 7 persons die in small plane crash in Brazil. Hello there. Good afternoon and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin in Zamfara State, where bandits have stormed Madabadanchia village in Bungudu local government area of the state on Sunday night, where they abducted a newly-wed couple. According to eyewitness reports, the bandits stormed the village on foot at around 11:45 p.m. on Sunday. The bandits, who were in large numbers, reportedly had sophisticated weapons and shot sporadically to scare residents in the area. The attackers were said to have conducted house-to-house raids in search of food and other valuables. The village has no security outposts deployed nearby to respond to the attack, which lasted for hours. The police have yet to confirm the incident. The Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the appeal filed by the All Progressives Congress and its governorship candidate in Adamawa State, Aishatu Dahiru Binani, against the governor of Adamawa State in the 2023 governorship election in the state. The tribunal and Court of Appeal had dismissed Binani's petition challenging the victory of Governor Fintri in the governorship election held last year. The 5-member panel, led by Justice John Okoro, adjourned the matter for judgment after listening to the arguments of the parties involved in the matter. The main contention of the APC candidate through her counsel at the day's proceedings is that the controversial declaration by the resident electoral commissioner Hudu Ari was lawful. Still talking politics, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has appointed Edison Ehie, the leader of his loyalists in the State House of Assembly, as his chief of staff. Ehie was the contender to Martin Emehule for the position of Speaker before recently resigning from the State Assembly as part of a process to restore peace in Rivers State. In a statement late Sunday by the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Tami Danagogo, Fubara has named Ehie as his new Chief of Staff. Residents of Bodija in Oyo State affected by the recent explosion in the area have called on both the federal and state governments to expedite action on the planned relief packages for victims. The residents spoke during a visit by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabo, to the area. The residents and victims of the Bodija blast have continued to narrate the impact of the blast on their lives 13 days after the incident.
We came down with an extinguisher trying to put out the fire. We discovered he couldn't handle it. And I told one of my boys to go back inside the house, get my phone so I could call the fire service. Then my other boy was standing opposite the house. Then at that point, I started walking back towards my own house so I could meet up with my boy. I asked to go and bring my phone. I had not taken up to 7 steps when the thing exploded. It was a loud bang, just threw me away like a stone.
So I stood in front of the house, opposite the house where the explosives exploded. My brother had gone upstairs to get the phone. My father was walking back a bit to meet up with my brother so he could get his phone from him while he was going. Our neighbors had already gone, shouting that people should come outside, that there's fire, 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 fire. Then I was right opposite the house. I was just trying to look and observe what was happening. Then before we knew anything, it just went boom. Then it just threw me. It took my clothes off my body. Then complete silence and darkness. We could not hear voices. We could not see. We could not hear anything.
So I'm actually appealing to the federal government the state government, and well-meaning individuals. This is when we need ourselves. That we should show love. We should try and provide a lot of things that will reduce this hardship on the people. I'm happy that the Oyo State government has set up an account for donations.
But the federal government says the relocation of the headquarters of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, and some departments of the Central Bank of Nigeria from Abuja to Lagos will increase operational efficiency and reduce operating cost. In a statement, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, dismissed claims that the relocation of some departments in the two agencies are politically motivated to marginalize a section of the country. Senator Ali Ndume from Borno South, as well as chieftains of the Arewa Consultative Forum, the Northern Elders Forum, and other northern groups had kicked against the move. The minister in a statement says the government is not relocating the office from Abuja to Lagos for political reasons or motivations. The Nigerian Bar Association section of Public Interest and Development Law has urged the court to sack the Minister of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musa, from office for allegedly violating the National Youth Service Corps Act. The organization also asked the court to compel the NYSC to nullify the certificates given to Musa and a music promoter, Kenny Ogumbe, alleging that the issuance of the certificate was contrary to provisions of the NYSC Act. Musa, Ogumbe, NYSC and the federal government of Nigeria are the first to fourth defendants in the suit, respectively. The plaintiffs allege that the mobilization of Musawa and Ogumbe for the mandatory one-year National Youth Service after exceeding 30 years of age was unlawful, illegal, and an affront to patriotism. Now, they also allege that Musa and Ogumbe's purported national service and the certificate of service purportedly issued by the NYSC were null and void. Experts in Nigeria's extractive industry have attributed the corruption in the sector to a lack of transparency and accountability. Industry players have expressed concern that so far the reforms made to address corruption in the extractive industry have fallen short of expectation. In this report, Sagir Ibrahim speaks to experts on the best way forward to improve transparency in the sector.
It is estimated that developing countries lose about $1 trillion each year through a web of corrupt activities that involves shady deals for natural resources. Nigeria alone is responsible for 5% of that figure, as the Ministry of Finance in 2017 revealed that Nigeria may have lost as much as around $50 billion annually to illicit financial flows through money laundering, tax evasion, and corruption, often achieved through the use of corporate vehicles. Some of these corporate vehicles, according to a recent FATF Egmont Group finding, involve the use of legal entities including corporations, trusts, foundations, and partnerships with limited liability, which can be exploited for money laundering to disguise and convert the proceeds pilfered from the extractive sector.
Beneficial ownership refers to identifying the actual people who ultimately control or profit from oil, gas, and mining assets, even if they're not listed owners on paper. Now, this can involve individuals, companies, or even trusts and shell companies. Therefore, a beneficial ownership register has extended beneficial ownership disclosure to commodity traders to address secrecy in the ownership of intermediary companies in the oil, gas, and also mining sector.
Unmasking the identities of the real owners of oil, gas, and mining assets, determining how those assets were acquired, the quantity, quality, location, and real value of the assets are critical success factors if the EITI process was to be really effective in tackling opaqueness in Nigeria's natural resources management. Dr. Harry Udo, the executive director of the STEP program, believes the development of a BO register in the mining sector will go a long way in checkmating the use of shell companies and other corporate vehicles to siphon money out of the system.
Some of these people operate shell companies where in jurisdictions where they cannot pay taxes to Nigeria, and they claim to pay taxes to those jurisdictions, and even those owners themselves don't pay the taxes to these persons because they are not known and they are like spirits, as it were. And so having the beneficial ownership register opens up the process and enables you to know who real owners of businesses are. If you go to CAC and you look at ownership of companies, for instance, you will find that sometimes you see names that are not known and are probably not related, but the real owners are different from the names that you see on the CAC registration portal.
Dr. Harry says a lot of the fraud currently being investigated in the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry could have been avoided with a BO register in place.
Some of the companies recently involved with the fraud issue around the Humanitarian Ministry, you will go to CAC, you will just find, for instance, one of the companies that got 437 something million. There's one owner, but you can't even know who that owner is. So what that does for the country is that it shortchanges the country. The benefit that should come in terms of taxes due to the state, revenues accruing to the state of Nigeria is lost. Taxes that should come from the high net worth individuals themselves is lost, and then it becomes a conduit itself for siphoning money and encouraging illegal outflow, of Nigeria's patrimony.
Ugochukwu Munachi with the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, explains that the beneficial ownership register will help identify the true owners of companies, especially those implicated in illicit financial flows.
The African continent, developing countries actually have been noted to lose about $1 trillion annually, right, to illicit financial flows, tax evasion, and for us, BO is a critical tool for addressing this issue because it's a way for us to identify the true owners of companies, these companies that have been implicated in illicit financial flows. So it helps us to identify the true owners.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Senate and House of Representatives Committee on Upstream, Midstream and Downstream of the National Assembly expressed their commitment to enact essential amendments to the NATI Act, all in a bid to improve transparency.
We must get the job done. Nigeria must return back to where we used to be.
Our agenda is targeted at introducing key amendments to the Petroleum Industry Act so as to ensure stronger provisions for clean energy transition. We also focus on reviewing the NATI Act to grant NATI statutory powers to implement the findings of their investigation.
The experts mentioned unwavering political will, ironclad enforcement, and a united front from government, citizens, and the global community as the way to go to plug loopholes in the interest of the citizens. Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
This is the news update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. Nigerians raise concerns over skyrocketing prices of medicine. More on that and many other stories up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news. Thank you very much for staying with us. Let's recap our top stories. Bandits abduct newly married couple in Zamfara. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Binani's appeal on Adama Guba election. Nigeria is grappling with the formidable challenge of soaring medicine prices, amplifying the strains on its healthcare system. Pharmacy operators navigating the turbulent waters of exorbitant exchange rates are finding it increasingly difficult to import vital pharmaceuticals, triggering a ripple effect on Nigeria's health landscape. Between July and September 2023, pharmaceutical imports surged to an alarming 81.8 billion naira. However, beyond these staggering figures lies a difficult reality unfolding in the lives of ordinary Nigerians. Ibrahim Ismail tells us more.
The Naira continues its downturn spiral, reaching an alarming exchange rate of 1,425 Naira against $1 in the black market as of Monday, January 29, 2024. This sharp decline carries profound economic consequences, casting a shadow on the prices of imported goods, particularly essential items like medicines. Caught in the crossfire of this storm is Zayanu, a 30-year-old responsible for a family of 6. The relentless surge in medicine prices, fueled by the soaring exchange rate against the Naira in the black market, has left Zayanu grappling to meet the healthcare needs of his family. As the economic challenges intensify, the daily lives of ordinary Nigerians bear witness to the tangible impact of the currency's freefall. Medicine that we once bought 200 Naira now sell for 500 Naira, while those that were 1,500 are now 4,000 Naira. The escalating cost of drugs are exacerbating the already dire economic conditions in the country. This unfortunate situation is making it increasingly challenging for people to access essential medication, further compounding the difficulties imposed by the economic downturn.
Like I came this morning, my mom was asked to get Alphagan because she's having glaucoma. So when I got to the pharmacy, they said 5,500. And last month I bought it for 4,700. And they are saying it's 5,500 today. So the prices of drugs have gone up. The other day I went to buy amoxil, Emzor product, and they said 2 cats was
one antibiotics like that for my head because I'm having a typhoid as at then. The price I normally buy it for like 1,500 Naira, but now I later bought it at the rate of 2,500, which is too high.
When I complain about malaria, they give me at the rate of 1,000. But sometime before, when I go to a local shop, I treat malaria drug at the rate of 2,000 something. So you check the differences, you understand? So that is exactly the difference about the drugs. There are some paracetamol of 70 Naira before. Now it's 150.
Discussing the volatile exchange rate, economist Yusha Aliyu emphasized the catastrophic impact it is having on the economy.
We have to be mindful of this inflation because if we continue to demand exchange rate, not for transaction purposes, not for trading purposes, but for safekeeping, we are creating things that will never normalize, no matter what central bank is trying to apply to stabilize the market.
With the Naira losing its strength in the black market, citizens heavily rely on imported pharmaceuticals for essential medications. To ensure accessibility to medicines at affordable rates, the federal government needs to champion local production efforts and foster a conducive environment for the growth of pharmaceutical companies. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, in a similar vein, a cross-section of Nigerians are calling on the federal government to intervene and hold the rising cost of prescription medication in the country in order to prevent avoidable health emergencies. Persons with conditions that require everyday use of medications say they are finding it difficult to meet their everyday health needs due to the current economic realities in the country. Hamid Oyegbade tells us more.
Trust TV's check revealed that people battling life-threatening diseases that require constant use of medication for full recovery have now resigned to their fate due to skyrocketing prices of drugs in the country.
Government failed to play their role in the Nigeria economy, pertaining to every situation. Anything containing medical or drugs should be free. We should have access to bring in the drugs without paying any tax on it. Some people cannot afford to buy drugs when they prescribe the drug for them, on getting there was the pharmacist. So we are appealing to the government can assist to be giving people drugs free, or they reduce the cost of the drug.
A clinical pharmacist at Zadet Pharmacy, Odiolowo in Osogbo, Osun State, pharmacist Dr. Abdulaziz Adetoyi urged the federal government to intervene and address rising cost of drugs with a view to save lives.
Pertaining to what the government can do on this to help out, I have two suggestions, and one is majorly because of most of the drugs we sell, they are imported, and the cost of importation, the import duties on all these drugs, it's making the prices of drugs to go up. And if the government can find a way of lowering the importation duties on especially drugs or active pharmaceutical ingredients, the materials that we use in producing drugs, because even the local companies that are producing drugs here, some of them still have to import the active pharmaceutical ingredients. So reducing the tariff, I think, should really help to reduce the prices of drugs generally.
Continuous fall of naira against the dollar has impacted negatively on importers of prescription drugs due to exchange rate variation, which in turn affect the prices, a situation Nigerians say must be addressed promptly to prevent avoidable health emergencies in the country. Amid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Now to developments on the international scene. 7 occupants of a small plane died in a crash in Brazil on Sunday, according to media reports. Pieces of the single-engine aircraft fell in the field in the municipality of Itabira in the southeastern state of Minas Gerais, the fire brigade said on a post on Facebook. The plane broke apart mid-air, Brazilian media reported, citing authorities. The aircraft belonged to a private company and was traveling from the city of Campinas in the state of Sao Paulo to Belo Horizonte in Minas Gerais. The cause of the accident is yet to be confirmed. In sports, record 7-time champions Egypt, lacking injured talisman Mohamed Salah, were knocked out of the Africa Cup of Nations on Sunday after losing a penalty shootout 8-7 against the DR Congo. Goalkeeper Lionel Mpasi converted the winning spot kick in San Pedro after fellow shot stopper Mohamed Abu Gabal had seen his kick strike the bar and fly over. A tense last 16 clash finished 1-1 after extra time, with Meshak Elia scoring on the 37 minutes for DR Congo and Mustafa Mohamed equalizing in the first half of added time from a penalty spot. Liverpool star Mohamed Salah was injured in a group match against Ghana and returned to his club, who said he would probably only be able to return to the tournament if Egypt reaches the final. DR Congo will now face Guinea. Last gap 1-0 victory over Equatorial Guinea earlier on Sunday, and next Friday in Abidjan for a place in the semi-finals. Egypt and DR Congo may between them have won 9 of the previous 33 Cup of Nations tournaments, but neither country managed even one victory in the group stage in Ivory Coast this month. And they finish runners-up to Cape Verde and Morocco respectively in mini leagues with identical records of 3 draws and 3 points. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. We'll be back with more news stories later at 4 o'clock.